Hello fellow humans, my name is Poppy, I used to live in Nairobi, and last year I made a video about Kenya's incredibly unique public transport, the bright, colourful, often flashing displays of art and culture known as Matatus. So if you haven't yet, I do encourage you to go and watch that video. But basically, I went through some photos of Matwana art that I had collected over the years and rated them out of 5, all in the name of fun. Back when I made that video, I'd hoped to share the joy of these eclectic vehicles with a handful of people who may not have heard of them before. But in the end, I actually reached quite a few local Kenyans, so hi and thank you. However, a lot of the viewers pointed out that the images and designs I'd used in that previous video were already pretty outdated. Loads of you guys encouraged me to seek out the more recent designs, and I'm so glad you did, because the standard has reached a whole new level. It is insane. So now, over a year later, I'll finally be fulfilling your requests to make an updated video. I'm sure you're so glad to see my face again. Now fortunately this time I have an actual room to film in, so no more Mutumba shop vibes, and more importantly, I'll be using photos taken by other people who weren't in moving cars on their phones when they took them. Hopefully this way things will be a little more refined. Either way, I encourage you to check out the Matwana Culture Instagram account, because this video would not have been possible without their breadth of content. Basically all my pictures are from there, and they give all the information on the artists and the name and the route of the bus as well, so it's really cool. Okay, I'm sure you're bored of me talking by now, but I just have one more note, and it's to say that this time I'll be rating the designs out of 5 tires, not 5 stars, because bus things. And now, without further ado, it's time for Matatu Culture 2. Okay, so first up, I thought we'd start with something a little topical, that being this COVID-19 bus. It's got all the classic phrases and information. Hashtag stay safe. I don't disagree. And on the little hood thing over the window, I don't know what that's called. Good start. It says sanitize. It also says curfew because, you know, there was a time when we did have those as well. I feel like everywhere is a bit more relaxed now, but that was definitely a thing. And obviously, in really big letters over the windscreen, it says COVID. We've got the O, which looks like the actual... Okay, so I looked it up. It's technically a 3D visualization of the COVID-19 surface. I did chemistry, don't judge me. That's not even an excuse, chemists would probably know that as well. Anyway, to the point, all the messaging is there. This person cares about public health. The colour scheme is cool, purple and yellow is an alternative, funky colour scheme. So I'm gonna say 3.5 stars. Hello, this is me saying tires in case at any point I said stars. I hope I didn't, but yes. And if you're thinking that's a bit harsh, I'm just leaving some room for what I believe is yet to come, because this is still a simpler design. It's basically just text with one little graphic, so bear with me. Next up, we have the Boujee bus representing the Umoja route, and let me tell you, this is a mashup you never could have dreamed up, but I'm so glad it happened, because this bus is Spider-Man and Snoop Dogg. Yes. You've got the Marvel branding on the front, their two portrait... It's so symmetrical and satisfying. Obviously you've got the name of the bus at the top, you've got the red Spider-Man side, the cream Snoop Dogg side, and then also some portraits in slightly different graphic styles on the actual doors. This sort of lightning marble effect is the inverse of itself on either side, which is just really satisfying. Then on the back of the bus, the split continues, so it looks like the flip side for us, but obviously it's front back. We've got Snoop. I don't know if you heard that. That was my dog. It's all topped off by the fact that the text on the back reads bittersweet. It's not bittersweet. I think this is purely sweet. This is a really sick design. I really like the colour scheme as well, all these warm tones. And again, these are two guys you'd never see together, but you know, in a weird way it makes sense. They're both just really cool dudes. They've got a lot of pictures of this one, and there's some pictures of both sides, so the purely Spider-Man side, the purely Snoop Dogg side. There's this astronaut as well. I'm not a huge member of the Snoop Dogg fandom, so if this is something I'm unaware of, please let me know. I would have said it would be nicer if that spaceman were coloured in as well, because it feels a bit like, where's this white coming from when there's so much colour and depth and, you know, so many dimensions. But nevertheless, I want to focus on some of the portraits on the side, because there's this one near the entrance door and another one of Snoop here, and Spider-Man doing his webby swingy thing, and they all just look so good. Real attention to the lighting involved in the source images, I'm sure. So for this one, I'm gonna say... Ooh. Is it too soon to get... Nah, I'm gonna give it 5 stars. It deserves it. 5 tires. 5 tires. Next up, we've got a simpler concept that just tickles me. So without spending too much time on it, this is Shiznit from one of the Kasarani routes, and I think it's genius. It says Shiznit in big cursive, very paintbrush style letters, and then underneath, Shiznit. I really want to know what that means. Please. Someone tell me, please. Everybody want to be involved. Now, I will actually say a few more things about this bus. 1, it says espresso, which maybe is meant to sound like espresso coffee. I know a lot of people mix up the names anyway, but also I'm guessing it's a reference to how fast this bus is, so that's pretty cool. And also, the lighting is kind of crazy. They've got at least 3 colours going on, maybe more because they sort of bleed into the paintwork. It's a little party going on the front. I wonder what it's like on the inside, but that's not what we're focusing on in this video. Nevertheless, I feel like this could be a bit more visually pleasing. Like, there's a lot going on, and it's still impressive, but it doesn't feel cohesive in the same way that some of the others have so far. I'm gonna say 3 tires, sorry. And now, if you're into a more retro vibe, this might just be the bus for you. Not that you can actually choose based on aesthetics though, it's based on the route. And this one is the Seoul bus from the Langata Route 15. I honestly don't even know where to begin with this one, I just dig it. I love that once again the O has been replaced by something else, but this time it's an afro and it looks fire. There's some text inside the woman's afro on the front, I'm not sure what it says. Something funk, I presume. The colour scheme is not what you'd expect from retro, but I also think it really works. And then over on the flip side of the front, there's a cool decal with the same woman from the letter O in Seoul. So, you know, I like that repetition. We've got a real theme going and proper motifs. And then on the back, we've got a nice city skyline and a road sign that says slow down and enjoy the funk, which, you know, we should all do more often. And then, over at the top, we've got a classic Matwana declaration of faith in the text that reads God first. I also want to focus some attention on this lady on the side of the bus, because within her afro, again, but in a lot more detail, there are so many images of breakdancing and brass instruments and other instruments and flowers and birds and symbols of peace and... yeah, that bird is a dove, I just realised. Bass clef, treble clef, it's really cool. And a microphone, love soul music. Oh, I just zoomed in a bit closer. And on the side, it also just says hurricanes. That one will need explaining to me, I'm sorry. This might sound crazy, but I think I'm gonna give it another 5. 5 tires, that is. Why is this so hard? It was fine with a hot dog. So we had a bit of a throwback with the funky soul vibe, but now I'm going to throw it back a bit more recently to my childhood anyway, and other people's childhoods I'm sure, because this bus is called 16 Barbie. I admit I don't know where the 16 comes from, because it is a part of the Kiambu route 100, so it's not related to the route that it drives. Again, maybe someone else knows. Please open a dialogue in the But with that aside, we've got the nice little Barbie logo imprinted all over, and a masked woman, and text that reads Sonny Classic. Oh, and some crazy lights on the top, obviously, but we'll get back to that later. Now we go to the back, and it says 16 Barbie again, and there's a picture of a girl, which looks like the reference image must have been her selfie, so I just hope she knows. I doubt she knows she's on a bus somewhere in Nairobi, but if she does, sick. Oh, the eyes match the nails, and it's rainbows, and that's very cool. Then on the side, it gets really crazy. We've got images of all kinds of characters and people, and again it says 16 Barbie, with some dice all around, and some interesting backlighting, LED backlighting. But yeah, I said I'd come back to that lighting, and here it is after dark in all its glowy glory, next to a bus that we won't be talking about. And yeah, it looks great, but I think I prefer the ones that follow one specific theme, and I do still wonder who this girl is, and if she knows she's on a bus somewhere. I mean, it's cool, but does she know? So with that considered, I'm gonna say 3 tires. It would seem I'm on a bit of a nostalgic streak, because now I'm gonna show you the Black Pearl bus. Yes, it's inspired by Pirates of the Caribbean. More specifically, it feels like it's all to do with Jack Sparrow. If we look at the side image here, there's 3 different art styles that are all portraits of Jack. One is a lot more cartoony, almost like a comic. There's this really cool tentacle-looking highlight going all over the back, and the purple around it is this reflective metal, which is really cool. And then if we pull up the image of the sort of corner between the side and the back, it says, "Take what you can and give nothing back. Words to live by if you're a pirate of the Caribbean." And then on the back we've got another why can't I talk? Portrait of Jack Sparrow. Now these photos were released before the bus was actually on the streets, so I imagine there's a whole other side with even more crazy stuff. In general, it's quite cool. I feel like if it's called Black Pearl though, that should have been the focus, but nevertheless it's done well, so I'm gonna say 4 tires. So I just gave you Black Pearl, and now it's time for Black Mamba. Yes, this is a bus dedicated to Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace. It's from the Ngong route, number 111. Now this one is another really impressive one. It's got the Lakers colour scheme, that is a really photorealistic looking basketball actually, that is crazy. There's an image of Bryant on the court, and a more serious looking image as well. He's looking quite pensive here. Just a lot of dedications to him, basically celebration of his life and sadly his passing, and the years relating to those, and the Lakers logo in a nice gold. So yeah, there's nothing that strikes me as something I would have personally tweaked or adjusted, or I wonder what it's doing there or anything. I just think it's a nice cohesive piece, which, as we've established, I like. The colours go well together. I mean, it's the Lakers scheme anyway, so they couldn't really... that would be weird if they didn't follow that. But yeah, I think this one deserves another 5 tires. And now, for another carefully planned segue, it's time for another bus dedicated to a person. This one is known as Mystic Man / Peter Tosh. So, you know, Pete, the guy from the Whalers. That is obviously where the colour scheme comes from in the lighting, and I only have images of it after dark, so that's really what I'm going to be focusing on. I love how this One Love text has a backdrop of green light, but then some images just have an outline, so a frame basically, and then the Mystic Man and Peter Tosh text is obviously highlighted as well. There's a little... looks like a lion next to a certain leaf that's not lit up. That's a bit naughty. And then on the back it says Black Lives Matter, which, yes, 100%. There's the different sort of embellishment, names, portraits, but then it comes back to some of the core themes and shapes, the circle, the little round... But something, I can't explain why, doesn't quite excite me about it. I'm gonna say for tires, I think it could be a bit more refined. I think that's what I'm thinking. And now for another topical one, because this bus is inspired by Anonymous. Yes, the group of hackers dedicated to unveiling the truth about everything, basically. So we've got the classic image on the front and the same dude on the back with a knife? Oh, and there's text that reads, I believe, private. There's also a load of quotes on one side. The mind of a slave asks, is it legal? The mind of a free man asks, is it right? That makes sense. However, I don't like the way the text is just sort of plonked on there. It actually looks better in the windows because that's sort of naturally contained and framed. There's not much you can do with full quotes of prose like that. It feels like all the energy went to the front and back and then the side was like, eh. So I'm gonna say 3 tires. Okay, you know how they say that thing about leaving the best for last? I did that here. I definitely did that here because this one just blows me away every time I see it. And you may disagree, you may prefer others, but for me, I don't know, this one just takes the cake, the biscuit, depending on your persuasion. And it's called Bumblebee. Yes, like the Transformer, not the little buzzy insect boy. Starting with the front of the bus, we've got proper title font under the windscreen and some suitably coloured lights. That text is really nicely done. It looks almost like a film poster. It might actually be the text from the poster. I don't know it well enough to confirm that immediately. But yeah, we've got a gradient from the sort of darker, more orange, deeper yellow to the lighter yellow. Then there's the Transformers logo stuck down next to the actual make of the car. And a really cool, satisfying hexagonal design going across the doors, which, you know, I think would look nice on any car, even if it weren't themed after a Bumblebee car thing. Then we go round to the sides, and there's pictures of Bumblebee the car when he's in car mode, and some really crazily detailed graphics all along the top. Again, this, you know, honeycomb theme, but also with some extra real bees and the Transformers logo again. And if we look a bit closer, there's a portrait, as per usual, of Bumblebee with his glowing Transformers helmet and his bright blue eyes. The dashing man. No, that's weird. No, he's not. I'm not saying that the thing is attractive. Stop. Okay, and then we come around the other side. We've got a little picture of the door open here, but you can still see a really cool, really menacing looking Bumblebee. And it's a similar sort of vibe to the other portrait, but I would say a slightly less detailed style and a slightly different angle as well. But it fills the space nicely, it's really cool. And I like how it's not just like centered perfectly, it's like this would be here whether or not this bus were this shape. He's just peeking around and he's living inside this world. Okay, yeah. And the last detail I want to focus on is this really cool lighting display, which I think must be from the inside of the bus, so I'm cheating a little bit, but it's part of the sequence of photos here, so I'm just gonna go along with it, and I don't actually know that it is inside, but it probably is. And then we've got another night shot, but from the back, and this is a more sort of comic-y cartoon style portrait of Bumblebee as well, very perfectly centered, with a really nice light shape on the back as well, I have to say that. And it says behave, which is 10 out of 10 pun. So I'm gonna give this bus 10 out of 5 tires. That's how strongly I feel about that. I'm gonna change the whole system. I'm gonna cheat my own system. I cheated with the light. I'm cheating with the score. I don't care. Sue me. Anyway, I'm gonna stop myself there before I just like explode with enthusiasm, because that is a very cool bus, but all of them are, and there are so many more out there. So again, if you're intrigued, I suggest you go and look at the Matwana Culture Instagram account. And until then, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope I've satisfied everyone's need for more current examples of Matwana art. And if you did enjoy and want to see more, please like this video and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment, because I'm always willing to reply and engage, and yes, it's all good vibes here. And help me, how do I end this video? Goodbye.